there, and welcome to the Fearless Artist Podcast, where we empower classical musicians to build their own thriving careers. I'm your host, Michelle Lynne, and together with Deanna Petre, we teach artists to conquer the entrepreneurial side of their careers and create the futures they want. We are two freelance classical musicians who have lived and worked in Europe for a decade, and together we started the Fearless Artist Mastermind, a coaching company created to teach classical musicians how to overcome fear and take action on building their dream careers. In each episode, we will explore the intersection of artistry and entrepreneurship, teaching you the fearless mindset with practical steps and strategies to build a sustainable career. Get ready to build your own artistic brand, find a supportive community of musicians so that you don't have to figure out everything alone, and earn a living that you deserve. We believe that you can be a thriving artist and not a starving one, and we are redefining what it means to be a classical musician in the modern era. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Fearless Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Lynne, and today I have my colleague and a new friend, Daniel from Notabl on. Welcome, Daniel Lalonde.
Hello, how's it going?
I'm doing well. So I'm excited to have you on today. You are here to chat about your freelance career, your Canadian principal bass. I'd love to hear all about that, but specifically also we're going to talk about your practice journal company called Notabl. So for our audience, would you please introduce yourself, my fellow Canadian, and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, my name's Daniel. I play the bass. I'm principal bass of the Ontario Philharmonic, and I'm on faculty at the Royal Conservatory here in Toronto. And I launched Notabl almost 1 year ago, which is a practice journal for classical musicians. And I sell in North America, in Europe, and a few places in Asia. And yeah, just trying to get the journal out there and show people the power of journaling while practicing and how extremely effective it can be.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all of that because I'm on a practice kick right now about having healthier practice methods. So I love that we're talking about this. But I didn't realize that Notabl was so young, actually. I thought you started during the pandemic, but no.
March 15th. I launched March 15th, but there's a lot of things involved when designing a new product. So, hiring lawyers and hiring designers and everything involved. So it took maybe 8-10 months to really suss it out and then launch almost a year ago. Yeah.
Okay, well, congrats for that.
Very
cool. You have a first anniversary coming up. Deanna and I just had our 5-year Fearless Artist anniversary last month, and we did absolutely nothing to celebrate. So it's good to remember anniversaries and to commemorate them. But anyway, please tell me, when did you get the idea for the journals, and also a little bit about your career in Canada?
Sure. Well, I am a student of the game. I've been practice journaling specifically for about 15 years, and I've been finding some old ones just lying around in my library and bookshelf. And I found one at 2011, dated back, asking questions and asking my teacher and planning my practice and making notes. And so I've been doing it for a while, and that's kind of what I wanted to start something of my own. And from what I learned is you should go where you know. And so I was trying out a few different ideas, and they would be kind of very different career changes and what I was trying out before, and just always thinking back, what do I know? And this is, for the gentle listeners listening in and wanting to start something of their own, you have a life and some things, and what problems could I solve that I know that I could gift to an audience. And this is where it came from. It's okay, I've always been journaling. I've always seen it as extremely effective, especially for someone who gets maybe shiny object syndrome, maybe a little distracted, maybe I should play that because it's fun, and kind of okay, now we can get back to the work. And always danced in between the two, and the journal really helped me kind of focus in where I needed it.
Okay, I love this. I love so much you're speaking marketing language 101. Where can you serve? Where can you give? Yeah. What do you know? Absolutely. And of course, this podcast is all about musicians who do more than one thing. So I love that you were looking to build your own side thing that was still connected to your music. Tell me a little bit more about your career. Where did you study? And you said you were using journaling back in your undergrad days.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Ottawa. I was born in Edmonton, grew up in Ottawa, and I studied
Edmonton, I forgot. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy now.
That's why we're hanging out. Yeah.
Shout out to the Albertans. Woo.
Yeah, go Oilers.
Go Oilers. Okay, I love this.
I studied at the University of Ottawa for a few years, and then I transferred over to the Glenn Gould School of the Royal Conservatory.
Okay.
And so I finished my studies there and I stayed in Toronto and I've been working here ever since.
Okay, nice. And when you were using your journal, like in your undergrad, did you see your colleagues doing that as well, or were you kind of the only person?
That's a good question. I saw myself doing it more. I can't really recall if I saw other people using it. But here's what I did do. This is a hot tip right off the bat.
Let's hear it.
And this was pre-smartphone days, right? I have to bring in like a recording device, like a Zoom H2. I think that's what it was called.
I had a Zoom too. Yes.
Oh, yes. Excellent. So I would bring it into my lesson, plug it in, because I'd never have batteries, so I'd have to plug it in the wall, record the lesson. It would be on like a sand disk, right? And then I would,
Yes.
halfway through the week, I'd plug that in to my computer. I'd listen back to my lesson, and boom, I'd make notes. So it'd be like having two lessons in one, which I found so incredibly useful. You go through a 90-minute lesson, you can't absorb everything, and also hearing, your teacher's sound as well as advice.
Yes.
Like the
Oh my
comparison is always, the ears are always tricky in a small room, big room, practice room. And it's like, oh, that's the sound I'm looking for. That's the advice I need. And writing it down, boom, 2 lessons in 1 week. And yeah, the hot tip right off the bat.
I mean, that's actually super smart. And I did that too. I recorded my lessons with Zoom. I didn't plug into the wall, so a lot of my lessons would die halfway.
Right.
And you're just making me realize that, like, on my old MacBook, which is 10 years old upstairs, dead, are all my lessons. So I think some of them I dropped into Dropbox, but you're right about like hearing that sound. It's so crucial, and then writing on the notes after. So what I'm hearing from you is that journaling helped kind of clarify your thoughts.
Oh, completely. Yeah, I felt swimming a lot in the world of like music and lessons. Like I didn't have a ton of natural abilities in some things, so I had to learn a lot of things fast. And so I just kind of swimming upstream, and journaling really helped me make sense of things in kind of when you're battling uphill a bit.
Yeah, I think for me, I've only ever used journaling as like tracking how many hours, or like, I don't know. When you say shiny object syndrome, like I recognize that in myself, but like I would, keep my practice journal going for a few days and then totally forget about it or lose it or leave it at home, or, so like
Totally.
staying on track with the journal has also been a challenge.
Well, I mean, I hired an amazing designer, and I'll plug her in a bit. Because part of it is that you can just go to the dollar store or, the corner store, get a $1 notebook, and then use that. And it can be useful. But the problem is, like exactly what you said, is that you just kind of drop it off. You're like, oh, you forget about it. There's nothing really getting you to come back to it. So I wanted to make something really beautiful and really cool, so that people they like carrying it around. They're proud to own something nice, and then when they open it up and use it, there's like this like, oh, like I'm not only do I have something awesome, but I'm getting better at practicing and being a musician, and so that keeps you coming back to it.
Well, I mean, I wanted to ask you this, so let's just jump right there. But tell me about the layout and why you chose the questions that you did, and how is it structured? Because I've seen a few practice journals. I had a couple different ones in the last year, and some of them are overwhelming in the questions that it's asking you to do. And I found that I would get too stuck in the weeds. But I like your outline because it's quite simple to me. Like it seems like, but here's the proof that I've been using it. As you go, you can kind of see like, okay, it's the rhythm and the routine and being able to flip back and see what's been happening. Anyway, please share with me your thoughts around that.
I really wanted to find balance in the journal, so it's between structure and flexibility.
Yeah.
That was a very important part of it, because in the research, I bought maybe a dozen practice journals that I found. I went through all of them, and they all had a lot of issues. And like you say, some were either too simple, like it was just a page of like, you practice, go ahead. And some were too busy, like it was like dictating your whole like existence in the practice room. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a little too much,
Sorry to interrupt, but like I just saw that you have quotes on the sides of these pages. These
Yeah.
are awesome.
I got some nuggets in there for sure.
Okay, let me read this one. Tchaikovsky, which is great because I was working today on the Sleeping Beauty suite. A self-respecting artist must not fold his hands on the pretext that he is not in the mood. Ooh, straight to the heart. Daniel, you're killing us. Okay, so you're looking for a balance between simplicity and structure. Tell me more about that.
Well, you can't have too much hand holding in the practice room. A big philosophy that I've been on in, you know, the content and the newsletters I send out is that you only see your teacher once a week if you're lucky, and you go to conservatory or you take weekly lessons. You see them once a week. If you take the hot tip I threw at you earlier, then, you know, twice a week, because you can listen back to your lesson. But if you're a serious practicer and you're doing 3-4 hours a day, 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on your instrument and your, like, where you are in your career, like, it's mostly you and yourself in the room. So you're always, there's this back and forth dialogue, and I always call it between you and yourself. And I'll throw you, this is the part of the logo that I really like, is that it's a mirror image. So it's you and yourself in the practice room.
Okay. Okay, very cool.
So you can't have too much hand holding, because you need to do a fair amount yourself. So I'm not telling you how to make a practice plan, because you're going to make your own practice plan. I'm not telling you how to make notes on what went well and what to improve on. It's just, this is what the notes, the space you need to make the notes. And everyone, I get pictures all the time. You know, my customers are really great. I talk to a lot of them over social media. They send pictures, and everyone's journal looks different. Some people have highlighters and sticky notes, and very simple, like Bach 1 hour, Tchaikovsky 1 hour, and then some notes. And some people like completely cover the pages, you know.
This was mine today. Yeah.
There you go.
I have to interrupt again, because this is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. This has been the TFA motto for like the last 3 months. We've been repeating it at every staff meeting. Both of the girls working for us know this. I repeat it back to them, because you know, we make mistakes when we go too quick. So I encourage them, like, I would rather pay you an extra, you know, 15 minutes to make this piece of content perfect coming out, rather than you're trying to rush it out and get it done. So we even have that pinned in our WhatsApp group. Slow is smooth is fast. I love these. This is fun to dig into.
Thank you. Yeah, it really, I tried to curate the tips, the facts, and the quotes, so that every day, journals are the same. Every day it's a 7 days of daily or 1 day of weekly recap, but every day has a little something new to it, which is a little sneaky information on the sides.
So just for everybody who's listening only to this, you've got the date, the total practice time you did, and then the plan, and then the notes. Is there anything specific that you recommend about how to use this, or, as you're saying, people can just dump however's best for them?
That's a great question. I like simple planning and sticking to it, which is a lot easier said than done. They say, you know, simple but not easy. So you say, I'm going to do 30 minutes of fundamentals, and then you do your 30 minutes of fundamentals, you put a timer on, and you go through it. And the second section of what went well and what to improve on, I think, is important, because some people, including myself when I was younger, stayed in the negative a lot. It's like, that sucked. I hated that. I sound like crap. And so well, as a bass player, that is, you know, the world I live in, of being out of tune.
That's why I said that, yeah. Sorry, I just had to take a jab.
It's okay. It's triggering. It's triggering.
I know. It's I never have that problem.
Yeah, well, too many notes or intonation.
Yes, exactly. I did the weekly review. Yeah, so you have 3 questions. What went well this week? What can I improve? And then goals for next week. And I think it is like a simple overview, but it's just enough to kind of focus on what's working. Yeah. Which I think is really brilliant. I used to coach in a vocal studio, and I always noticed that she would only ever take the student and talk about what was working, and then she would kind of craft that, cultivate that. And I asked her about it once, and she said because singers have so much, like, a lot of people who were coming to her were really broken from the conservatory that they were going to. They were just like so in their own selves, their own heads, that they couldn't get out of it, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm stiff, or my larynx is in the wrong place and all this stuff. So she's like, I would only widen what's working. And I always remember that, because I thought it was so smart to just focus on what's working and maximize that.
Yeah, you got to celebrate what you're good at. That's important. If you're an orchestra person like I am, then you can play some excerpts and some parts really well, then you gotta showcase that. You're like, and you gotta own that. Like, look how well I can play this. And then the things that aren't working, then like, okay, I need to improve on this. It's not that they suck, it's just that they need time and attention.
Yeah, I love that. My vocal coach would always say, like, where do you need to put extra love? Because I came to him just such a broken perfectionist in my thinking, and I would zero in on the things like, oh, I don't sound good, and I sound stuck, and he would try to get me to articulate exactly what I was doing that I didn't like, and I could never tell him exactly what I would just, oh, it sounds flat, or it doesn't sound, you know. And he's like, until you can specifically tell me what you want to improve, we can't work on it. So then he gave me a list of like 16 things that singers can fix intentionally, specifically, everything from like stage presence to breathing to intonation, all that stuff. So I love that you're saying like, what can I improve? Where can I spend a little bit of extra time?
Yeah. And that is, it's the ownership that we all need to take in the practice room, because it's not the practice room. Yes, is a place to learn notes because we have things to learn, but it's a much deeper place than that. It's a lot of self-discovery. Sound production is so much of self-discovery. Practice habits and routines, like everyone's a bit different, and actually being, like you say, being able to articulate like, okay, what is exactly the thing that needs a bit more love, and then the power of writing it down is, I think, also underappreciated.
So how do you think that journaling has helped you overall as a player now that you have a career? You're playing for the Ontario Philharmonic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that orchestra. That's pretty cool.
It's a small orchestra. It sounds grand in nature, but it's a great group of people.
Okay, nice. I can imagine. I mean, every Ontarian is super friendly. Yeah, tell me more, like, if you hadn't been journaling all these years, how do you think it would have changed the outcome of your playing, even your career? Can you hypothesize?
I mean, the amount of things I would have forgotten. If you're someone who like remembers absolutely everything, you have photographic memory, I'm eternally jealous of that. But being able to, especially when you revisit music and having a log of journaling, like, oh, I played that last year. Oh, and I went back, like, oh, these are like these issues. I solved these problems already. Like, you can basically just teach yourself. And I really like this quote. I've been
That's helpful.
saying a lot to myself lately, is that we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And it's just, if you journal and you're writing everything down over a few months, you're like, man, I'm seeing the same things over and over again. It's like, yeah, these are the things that you're good at and that you need to work on, and just keep reminding yourself that to go forward.
Interesting. I think I haven't dug into journaling that specifically yet, where I would write down like about a specific piece what I need to fix, because most I'm just trying to get through the amount of notes that I need to learn. So
Yeah.
I noticed today, like, I make notes about concepts for myself, like ways of approaching the instrument. I'm continually trying to speak more kindly to myself in the practice room, because I've just like hated myself in the practice room for so many years, which is why I learned that I avoided practicing, was because I just didn't want to feel like that. I've done like a lot of subconscious work around that. But I wrote today in my thing, my Notabl journal, wrapping your brain around new music, because I have just so many notes to learn right now. I wrote in my Instagram story, say I had a little meltdown on the weekend, but then I mean, I also like your journal because there's other ways you can adapt it for your needs. So like in the inside cover, I wrote down all of my upcoming programs and repertoire, so that like at a glance I can see the next 3 months and I know what I need to do for those individual programs. So I think that's really helpful. But I said, you'll get faster if you stop being annoyed that it's not coming right away. So I think I kind of write myself little like motivational encouragement things to be like, remember, you have to be nice to yourself if you want to try and see results in this place, or else you'll just avoid it.
Absolutely. And this is you teaching yourself. There's always these two minds going in the practice room. And it's, we all need to develop like if we can, a very healthy relationship between those two minds.
At the bottom, I noticed you have this little box. Tell me about this.
Well, when I first, I have it somewhere here. Like, I have so many design drafts. It was not this staggered 2 boxes. It was a lot of different design details and drafts. And I had good, neutral, bad. And I remember, you put the journal. You spend a month putting the journal together, and you get it printed, and you ship to your house, and immediately you open it up, like, oh my god, it's something close to what I wanted. Oh my god, no, that's all off, and you just like. It's just all these things that I wasn't, you're not aware of until you hold it, because it's just like on a piece of paper or on a screen.
Right.
So seeing the word bad there was like, this goes against the whole philosophy of like being kind to yourself and teaching yourself, and like, you don't sound bad. You just need more love and time. So I think the productive, neutral, unproductive box is a small self-motivator, in that no one really wants to tick off unproductive. And so you'll kind of do your like, it just kind of feels bad. So I just want to, okay, I can work a little harder and a little better, so I can at least tick off neutral, because I know today isn't going great.
Okay, I love that. I never saw it as like a self-motivator. Okay, that's good. I'm going to use it that way from now on.
Yeah, you're always trying to hit productive, but you can't do it every time. But you're always trying to reach for that.
So you mentioned already that you chat a lot with your clients in the social media, the DMs and stuff. What are people saying? What's the feedback that you're getting around people using the journal?
A lot I'm getting, and my favorite is, oh my God, I can't believe how much I can get done in an hour,
Oh, yeah.
which is,
Because of the journal? How is journal helping them with that?
I think the way I create my content when I do my own journaling, I always put times and I always use a timer.
Okay. Yes.
So 20-minute fundamental, 30-minute blah, blah, blah. And I always did that. So when people start doing, 20, 20, 20, you're like, wow, I can't believe in 3 20-minute sessions, I actually got that much work done.
Yeah. One of your practice tips, try practicing this way for 1 week, see if it works for you. 3 15-minute intervals with a 15-minute break at the end. I did have that thought today. I had a free afternoon and I thought maybe I'll do like 45-minute chunks and then 15-minute breaks. I didn't do that. I got swarmed with a bunch of DMs that I had to deal with, and I went for a walk with my dog. Anyway, do this 1 to 3 times in the morning and 1 to 3 times in the afternoon. Each interval should be planned and focused. Okay, dig in with us about like how do you plan and focus your, because to me as a pianist, and probably this is going to differ for every instrument, but 15 minutes. How can we make this? How do you plan this?
Okay, this was actually years of self-discovery in that one little practice tip, because I would, get some coffee, go in the practice room. In schools, a lot of the time you have to book rooms for like 2 hours.
Yep.
So like I only have 2 hours to get work done, and with a bass, say maybe with piano, you don't have a piano at home. You're like, I can't bring this thing home. I only have 2 hours. Okay, how do I get the best of these 2 hours? And I always found that when I used a timer, I could never quite get to 20 minutes. Some people can, but for myself, I found like if I do scales for 15 minutes, I can do like focused hard for 15 minutes. And then I would need to take, go to the bathroom, get a sip of water, come back, boom, do another 15 minutes. Make some notes, walk around the room, don't go on your phone. I mean, this is pre-phone days, and then do another 15 minutes.
Key.
And then I would find I was a little bit like, okay, my brain, I'm getting a bit foggy now, and my body's feeling a little something. So now I'm going to take a little bit more of a break. And over like a lot of experimentation, a lot of learning, which is why I press upon people really to try this. And I had a community tip. It's also part of my Instagram. Is I have really high caliber musicians offer their amazing wisdom and advice and community tips. And Lola from the Rotterdam Philharmonic said a similar thing. Unprompted. Like I do a 45-minute session, I do a 15-minute break, and in that 15-minute break, I plan my next session, and try to do some like good techniques of like just basically not going on your phone and not trying to entertain yourself.
Yes.
Do some journaling, walk around, lie down, even breathe. Like my teacher would always tell me, like we're more like plants and less like computers. So you gotta let the water seep into the soil. You gotta give it a bit of time.
That's really good. Yeah, going on your phone is just a brain killer, because then there's people harassing you because they need things, and then there's somebody that you wanted to check up with, and then, oh yeah, you forgot to send this message, and then your brain is flooded. Even if you get off your phone within the 10 minutes of the break, I find that my brain is now snapping with all of these other things I have to think about, and then the focus on the practicing is gone.
Yeah, you can think of it like nutrients. Like you just put 45 minutes of nutrients in, and then you start with the phone, and then like you start pulling them out. And like, wait, I just spent 45 minutes like giving my body and my mind all this information, and now it's getting pulled out by distractions or, like entertainment or things like that.
I am just gonna like so enjoy digging into these little quotes. Like that is totally my thing. Here's a quick checklist before you start something: posture, breathing, hear the sound, play. I love that, training your inner ear before we just like jump in or rush in. Just like taking a second. I have a friend who sits at the piano and like just touches it for a second to get grounded.
Yeah.
Because we have different pianos every single time. So it's like,
Right.
okay, I'm going to connect to this particular instrument and get used to the setting that I'm in right now and breathe. And yeah, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any other hot practice tips for people listening?
I mean, going off of that one right there, absolutely. We just have to get comfortable and really knowledgeable with the sound we hear in our head and the sound we're producing outwards. And having that distance not be too far apart. If I can explain that, if you want to sound like this, but you actually sound like this, you're just in a world of frustration. And for the listeners, my hands are very far apart.
Yes.
So you're like, every time you play a note, you're like, man, is that what I really sound like? That it's terrible. And so you want that distance to be close. I want to get to level 45. I'm level 43 right now, which is good. And having the sound you want is such a great teacher in showing like, okay, this is what I want to do. My body may act differently in the moment, but now this is an opportunity for me to teach my body how to make that sound I'm hearing. And as you listen to more music, you go see concerts, go see live music folks, and listen to more music, listen to different genres of music, and just hear great musicians playing, live a life, and this sound will start to really, really develop over time. And then it's kind of like this forever journey of like, the sourdough from San Francisco that's 100 years old and never ends. It just keeps maturing.
I love that. I saw an app recently where it said, discover where your sound comes from. And you were supposed to be able to trace back your musical tree and see like based on which teachers you've been studying with. And I have traced back my tree because we did that in the undergrad. But it was kind of funny. I never thought of it about your sound. It could be like, you sound so much like this person. So I love that you're focusing on that inner ear. I know you're a one-person team behind Notabl. So tell me, how do you stay inspired? How do you keep going on the hard days? I mean, everything seems very put together and well done. And I know that's behind the scenes. There's a lot of work going on. So how do you keep going?
Well, I mean, for the journal in particular, I'll shout out Shanna Floodstrom. She is the designer, and check her out, Floodstrom Interiors. Okay. She sells her own wallpaper, and she's an interior designer by trade, and a really amazing interior designer. Her wallpapers are really cool. And so she was recommended a friend. She had done some books and textbooks in the past and didn't really know. I knew what I kind of wanted and had a difficult time explaining, and then, just moved forward a little bit. And I knew like what I wanted it to look like and on the inside and just the practical part of it. But this
it's super important to have enough writing space and that your hand is comfortable on the page. And you have to think about all of those things.
Oh, yeah. I had to find the right publishing for the books, and I made sure the publishing is B Corp. That was something very important.
Okay, cool.
For people who don't know, it's companies that work very hard to make sure that they're like carbon neutral or carbon low emission. So they're, it's kind of like a very environmentally focused companies. So all the printing is B Corp, which is very important. And but Shannon did an amazing job of getting the feel, which is something an amazing artist or designer can do. She designed the logo and get this feel of Notabl, of something really cool and useful in the balance of structure and flexibility inside.
Okay, great. I hear you. But I know that then it was up to you to sell and market and build your social media and run your back end and promote and work with influencers. I mean, you sent me a copy and I've been using it. I love it. So how are you doing all of that on your own?
It's a lot of time. I spent, it took me a long time I'd say maybe 6 to 8 months to really figure out how much time I have in a day. I dropped my kid off at school and he's home by, 4:00. And like a lot of time I'm gigging in the afternoon or in the evening. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm writing, I'm creating content, I am creating ads, and I am, responding to things that I'm doing collaborations and just responding to emails that need to be responded to. So again, the same as a practice journal, I put a timer on and I just go. So I'm going to write an email for the newsletter in an hour, and boom, I just put on an hour, have a coffee, and I go. And I took a really cool course on how to make ads for Meta. So I've been selling a lot through Meta, which has been through Instagram.
I need to hire you because I had a horrible experience with my Meta.
It's tricky. I'm still in the program, and I still do coaching calls, and there's so much to learn because it's an app. It's evolving. So every quarter, the Meta ad updates. So it's never ending, and it's tricky. And you definitely don't want to waste your money. I just looked actually yesterday. I spent $20,000 in ads since I started.
20,000?
Since I started, yeah.
That's crazy. Well, you obviously know what you're doing because I haven't. I know the power of it because it works if you're reaching your target audience. Unfortunately, my ad was reaching elderly women over 67 or something. I was like, that is not who I want in the Fearless Artist membership.
Right. They're starting their ukulele career right away.
Exactly. Okay. Well, anyway, it sounds like you learned a ton of skills outside of music in order to pull off Notabl. So how was it
Yeah.
for you? Did you have tough days? Did you have to pull yourself together? I mean, how
Oh
did
my
you do
God.
this?
Yeah, of course. No, really tough days. Like there's some things I hired a trademark lawyer. There's just some things like I didn't know or how to do, like to incorporate to trademark. And there's some things I did not want to mess with. The publishing company I used sent me an email one day. It was by mistake. I think it was from like a new employee. They're like, oh, you actually can't print journals from for our books. And I was literally this entire thing I'm
That's your
doing
entire
is
offer.
they're like, you can't legally print journals. And I had to call the lawyer and be like, are you kidding? Like, it's like, no, they're wrong. I was like, okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Okay, geez.
So some hard things like that. And just,
Okay.
getting comfortable spending money to make money. That is not something we're used to in the music world. We're used
Yes.
to investing in instruments, which is very normal to us, investing in, concert clothes and transportation, and you get paid after you do a gig. You get paid for a rehearsal, you get paid for your gig, you get paid for teaching, and it's, you get paid for your time. But what we don't really do is, all right, I'm going to give this conductor $1,000 and I'm going to play and hope that they give me $2,000 back after the gig. So it's a very different mindset, and I can't imagine giving conductors thousands of dollars in hopes that I get it back. But yeah, that's very common for businesses. And cash flow is that you spend money to make money. So being fully in the music world, that was something I had to kind of work my head around, and it can be a scary risk. Like, do I really want to? I would say to launch the journal, it was around $10,000.
Okay.
To launch
Canadian,
the whole
yes.
Canadian, yes.
Yeah.
Which our dollar is not doing that great right now, but
It's like 7,000 American or
Yeah.
I think.
yeah, I would say around 7,500.
No, I'm thankful that you're talking about this because return on investment is something that I'm constantly talking about in our content as well when we're asking people to invest in things like the social media program that we run. And so I'm telling them, listen, you're going to book concerts from your content strategy. Like, we've got examples after examples. Those concerts are going to pay you. You're going to earn money from doing this. So yes, you're paying the course up front. However, this is like long-term wins, but it's hard for musicians to understand this because it does feel like a loss in the beginning rather than
Totally.
But because there's a mindset that you have to trust.
Yeah.
You have to trust in yourself. You have to trust in the content that you're putting out. You have to trust that you're going to stick to it and be consistent. Then you need to trust people are going to find you when you are advertising yourself on social media. But a really fun story that came back yesterday was a girl in our mastermind, and she did our social media program, 6 weeks sprint, and she posted a 10-second clip of her practicing, and somebody saw it and knew of an orchestra in Alaska whose soloist just dropped out for Rhapsody in Blue, which is what she happened to be posting. So they called her, and now she's on her way to Alaska to go play an orchestra gig because of her content strategy. And she said, thank you guys for making me post. And I'm like, this makes me so happy to show that it works for people. So I just
awesome.
love celebrating people who take risks like you. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because that's a big risk to put in 10K and trust and hope and work that it's going to come back.
Yeah, it is. And I think because of how our minds work musically, it's a bit of a hurdle. But once you can get over that hurdle, it is so worth it, because most of the world is used to that. They buy a house that's so expensive, and then maybe it'll go up. They buy an investment. They buy, and they start, like, the business world is huge. This is just something we're not entirely used to, but we can learn a lot from other industries and how to overcome that. And I feel like maybe I don't want to put words into other musicians' mouths, but because we're so connected to performing and sound, and an audience, there's always external gratification that's coming back at us from applause or from, like, attaboys. This is very Canadian.
Attaboys. Oh,
attaboys.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Yes, I'm with you now.
So, but it's a different thing when it doesn't come back, like, immediately. Like, not only do I not know if this is going to work immediately, but I'm going to put money into it now and hope it works later. And there's that trust in yourself is different, but I think it's very important to really get in touch with. And also, this long-term gratification really helps in the practice room too. This, like, slow practice that people don't really want to do because it doesn't sound like high fits right away. And they're like, well, just give it like a month of this. So, like, I just taught a group class before coming here, and it's like, yeah, in about like a few months, you'll be really good at this. Like, wow, a few months? Like, Why not right now? It's like, it's just, if you want something good, you have to wait and you have to put in the time.
Yeah, well, that doesn't help that we have given our kids phones from the ages of 10 now. I mean, we are the last generation, you and I, to have like grown up in junior high, not have had a cell phone. So now they're getting the instant all the time. I mean, the likes and the views right away after you post. So I love this. I love the process of this. What's your dream for Notabl? Where would you love to see it go?
Great question. I would love people to get the journal and to use it and to find that it is a powerful tool and they're practicing. And I'm also in the process of writing a book right now that will accompany the journal. Hopefully before summer, it'll be out.
Okay, awesome.
So your teacher tells you, okay, you're going to need to practice an hour a day. So you get the journal, okay, I'll do like 2 15-minute sessions. I'll take a break, 2 15-minute sessions. There's my hour. But what do you do in those 15-minute sessions besides just learning notes? And this whole book is going to be based around what to actually, like, from playing one note and all these tips and tricks and problem solves and conceptual ideas of how to practice in the practice room. So I want these two pieces to be accompany each other.
Amazing. And I know that you're on faculty at the Royal Conservatory of Music, which is my upbringing. I did RCM growing up. So too. Maybe there's something there for you to collab with them, getting these journals in the hands of their students, the books in their libraries. I mean, I think it's a great tool. I think it's super also Canadian made. I'm definitely going to be promoting that on the socials and letting people know how they can find you. I know you have a newsletter. If you want to let us know, how can people find you? How can they read your newsletter?
Just go to the website and sign up. It's shopnotabl.com.
Shopnotabl.com. That's Notabl.
Yes.
And how can we find you on Instagram?
Notabl__. If you just type Notabl_, you'll see it. It's just a picture of the journal. Yeah.
Awesome. And I know that you have a discount code for everybody listening. It's super generous.
What? Yes, I do. Fearless15 for 15% off.
15% off for Fearless15 at Notabl, shopnotabl.com. That's awesome. And I know there's a bunch of different covers. I have the red one. I picked the soft cover, not the spiral. And I love it. I mean, I love how it sits open on the piano.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I mean, you have to be able to write in something like this easily. Like, there's a lot of practicalities going into it. So, yeah, just huge congrats to you for pulling this off for your upcoming 1-year anniversary.
Thank you.
I know for everybody listening, we love to have one action point that we finish the episode with. What's something that someone can do right now after turning this off?
Something I've been writing about in the book yesterday was about mentally and physically setting up your practice space. So it doesn't matter where or how you practice. You could be outside or in a school or in your house or apartment or wherever. But if you can mentally really get into a practice zone before you start, you're just going to save yourself a lot of time, energy, and frustration. And I like just even talking to myself, like, okay, it's practice time. I'm going to get some work done. You do a few deep breaths. If you're writing down, write something down, journal, and plan out your practice. It can be writing down or just mentally, okay, I can do warm-up, fundamentals, do my concerto, do my things, and I got to get out of this practice room right now. And then just really commit that time to what you're doing. And please, you don't have to be dramatic and like throw the phone over the building, but just silent and out of sight.
Okay, that's so silent. But when you're using your timers, what are you using for your timer? This is where
I use a physical timer. I have an actual wheel.
Oh, no way.
I like this one. You can check it out. It's a wheel that is magnetic. You put it on your music stand. You and you press start.
You are so cool, Daniel. I used my iPad today for the timer because I was on my iPad for the scores.
No, I love iPads and I use them, and I know they have the tuner and the metronome and the timer. You can totally use it for that, and just the phone is very different.
Yeah.
The phone 100%. It's a little demon that has all these little things in it, and I can see it right here. You know, it's like come on, you should pick me up. It's got a
psychologically true. It does.
It does, which is why like
phantom effect or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's creepy. Just put it in your jacket, hide it, just make it not visible. Yeah,
that's very, very good. Actually, scientifically, I have a friend who's studying at university right now. She tells me all these brain tips, and she said the fact of your phone being in the room means you will be less productive, even if it's face down, even if you're not looking at it, because of what you're describing. So she said you have to put the phone in a different room when you're practicing.
Maybe you do have to throw it over the building.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I've been using the Forest app for a long time. I promote that a lot because I love it. It blocks your phone from any apps that you tell it to. So then I could still use Spotify, for example, because I'm usually listening to a recording and trying to work through stuff. But yeah, I also think today I'm laughing because I had an idea for a reel today where I would be like, guys, I found the one secret to practicing effectively. And then it was going to be like me chucking my phone into the forest or something. Yeah, I might still film that, but then I was like, how do I throw my phone without damaging it? Anyway, problems for another day.
It's an investment. You need to buy a burner phone to throw it.
That's
You need to invest in yourself, Michelle. Buy a burner phone.
Yeah. I can do that. I wanted to know what your message to musicians is. If you had one thing you could tell them on a billboard, what would you say?
Well, be aware of pain. I went through 6 months of an ulnar injury. Yeah, you may be 19 or 20, but you're not invincible. So take pain seriously, and I exercise a lot. So learning how your body responds to different kinds of pain is very important, because joint pain, nerve pain, muscular pain, tendon pain, they're all different. And when I was younger, I didn't know what they were. I was like, oh, I'm practicing a lot. This kind of hurt is good. And they're like, no, that kind of hurts bad. It's very different than like a muscular pain, which is good because the muscles will break down. They'll build back up by tomorrow. It's great. Take pain seriously and learn whether it is productive pain or, you're damaging your body long term.
Yeah, it's super good. And also, like, the journal is another place where you can start to write down if you are feeling anything. You can make a note so that you can keep track of, oh, this has been recurring for a couple weeks now. I should take it more seriously, for example.
Yeah. Time off is good. I like 1 day a week where you don't play at all.
Okay.
Just let the whole body set. Yeah, I've got oodles of tips and tricks.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to have you on again when the book comes out, because I definitely want to hear more about that.
Yes, please.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your time and for the discount code. Everybody listening, go check it out. Fearless15 for 50% off. I will be putting more of this in my stories because I think it's super helpful. And see you at the next one, Daniel. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, everybody, screenshot this and share it to your stories and tag Notabl __ and the Fearless Artist. And go check out his shop for all of the journals in there. And we'll see you on the next episode. Be fearless.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fearless Artist podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to share this podcast with a friend. To join our membership or one of our coaching programs, visit our website at thefearlessartistmastermind.com. This episode was produced by Pokey Huang at PH Media Studios in New York City. We're Deanna and Michelle, encouraging you to create your own opportunities and to go after what you want. You have what it takes to build the career of your dreams. Until next time, be fearless.